We're good? You all ready? You good? Ready? Good. All right, ready? All right. All right, here we go. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Conversation Piece for another episode. This is your place to discover the untold stories of Indianapolis. My name is Patrick Armstrong. I am your host, and I'm excited to be back for another week in 2025, the year of community. As you can see, we are out in the community today, and I am super excited about this conversation. My guest today needs no introduction, but I will say that as an artist, he has become a fixture or maybe a pillar within the Indianapolis arts community. And as a person, he has become a fixture, a staple, and a pillar in this community. From this space we're in right now, he creates incredible works and connects that work with the kids of said communities who might not have access or opportunity to do so when it comes to art. And so I am very excited to be able to tap into this conversations that we've been having at Tease Me right down the road for a little bit now. So without further ado, it is my great joy and privilege to welcome the OG, the original Gary G, to the show.
Right on, Patrick.
I appreciate you having us into your space. Again, I said it a couple times, but it means a lot to be able to enter into somebody's place of creation and to be able to sit down and have a conversation about that artwork.
Right on.
100%. How you doing today?
Man, I'm pretty good. I know I got you a little heated today. We got the kiln going.
We got
today.
the kiln going today.
Yeah.
You said that you have 3 pieces in there right now.
3 new pieces.
Getting heated up. Can you give us any exclusives or any hints about what you've been working on?
So I've been working on a lot of things for a show. We have a show called The Color of Clay coming up in May at the Brickyard and Amico's Gallery. But so I've got a piece in there that I call The Milkman.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a satire piece. You know, the milkman did it. The milkman made that delivery. So ironically, the milkman's got this sinister grin and a bow tie on.
Okay.
He's got the tat above his eye that says "Got Milk" and a milk bottle from the 50s as a teardrop. And then I've got 2 commission pieces, one for a local singer. We should drop it in Art and Soul.
Okay.
So then I've got another one that is for Arab American Art Month. And it's like a chic.
Okay.
Like in my classic style. But the thing that I like about these 3 pieces is I always feel like I'm in my own evolution.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I feel like these have more of my illustrative touches, especially the last 2. So they're a lot more illustrative and detailed than some of my other pieces.
Sure.
So kind of like moving towards that realm from like that I See You King at Butter last year. But with a little more animation to them as well. So I think I'm trying to evolve and create this new collection this summer.
I'm excited. Thank you for sharing that for one. When you say more illustrative, you said like more detailed a little bit. Can you explain a little bit what that means?
More like my style of drawing. So like a illustrative style of like drawing.
Like the literal like brush or pencil or pen.
Yeah, like brush, but I'm carving them. And I use a lot of different tools that are traditional ceramic tools. Like I only do hand building. So for people that always ask the question, hey, let's do the wheel, or the girls that want to be like Ghost, I suck on the wheel. But I'm pretty good. Primarily, my focus with ceramics is hand building or hand casting. So I create my own little molds. Sometimes I like balloons or paper and different things like that. I use a lot of carving and detail tools. And then sometimes I've used stuff that might go for like, not necessarily brushes, but like things that are kind of like painting tools or tools that may be used for something else.
Sure.
I've just figured like, I can use this in my practice, or something broke. And it was just like, hey, I can retweak that to use that. So now it's kind of like I'm carving into pieces, and it's more like I'm drawing like in my sketchbook or on some of my 2D like painting works, like traditional. I'm kind of always non-traditional anyway, but so it's just giving me a new nuance, so to speak, to creating in. Like repurposing tools.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard you say that, like, I think it's a common adage, but like one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I've heard you talk about, like, I just appreciate you sharing, like, you know, something that I see that you might not think is an art tool. Like, I can find ways to incorporate that in that work.
Yeah. Or it's just kind of like sometimes like, I would tell kids, especially like even in classes, like use what you have around you. Don't worry about what you don't have.
Sure.
Look at what you do have. You know what I'm saying? And I got to remind myself that in life too. You know, like we always want stuff. Like I want this, I want that, but look at what you have.
Right.
Like we got to be thankful for what we got sometimes. And then it is weird. It's like there's a lot of things I think artists in general or creatives see that other people may not see.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like a videographer may see a scene and somebody was like, walk past this place every day, it's nothing. And it's like, this is the perfect shot, you know, for a photographer, video, fashion ad, anything. So it's like, I think creatives, we just have our own set of eyes or at times ears, like dealing with music, like you might hear something or you see something that the average person might glance over or overlook or not think about. So I think those are sometimes the things that we should just act on.
For sure.
Like, yeah.
Do you remember when you first realized, oh, I think I might have a creative eye or a different perspective on stuff?
Well, I guess probably being a little weird kid. Even if he's cool, he's a little off.
For sure.
But now, like, as a kid, even, like, I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house, and I would draw on everything.
Yeah.
And then, you know, back then, nobody knew to, like, buy him a sketchbook. You get this, do that. So it was like, here's an envelope. You know, when the mail would come, it was always a return envelope. I'm drawing on the back of envelopes, tearing them open, but it's more paper. Then the sacks, you know, everything was paper before plastic.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it was like, I'm tearing up the big grocery sacks. In fact, I got some now. Like, I'll have kids, like, work on these at times. Like, this is where I started. So these are my roots, like pencil or a ballpoint pen, and you just learning how to work it. So you kind of, like, teach yourself or mimic older cousins or uncles or, like, my mom and somebody drawing or doodling. And then it became comic books.
Okay.
You know, like, wanting to copy the things in the comic book. Some of my older cousins had them and gave them to me. And I remember being a little kid, first you're just trying to see through the paper and trace it and
100%.
create your own character.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a minute, let me draw my own character. So I guess it's all like a process of evolution.
Sure.
But I've come to realize probably in the more recent years of my life that this is really what I am. Like, I guess in a sense, this is my calling, the good or the bad days. Like, I am a creative. And if I'm not creating or being an artist, then it's like, I feel like I'm wasting my time and energy.
100%. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I feel like we've been having this conversation a lot about, like, how we start creating. And for a lot of people, it's maybe not a specific moment. It's just like it's happening. We just had Jingo M. De La Rosa on the show.
Yeah.
Great conversation. And we talked about, like, how he is currently in the process as a new father of affirming his daughter's creative pursuit. Like, go get it. Like, get it now, because as we get older, sometimes we can, like, maybe lose our connection to that.
Right.
And he talked about how he had received some of that affirmation from his family when he was growing up, when he was like, oh, I just like to draw. And some of his drawing and creating and sketching came out of necessity because he lived in the Philippines at the time and there were, like, rolling blackouts happening when he was there. And all he really had was to just, like, draw. Like, that was just one thing that was available to him. I appreciate your family was just like, here's some paper, like, go for it.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had, like, that kind of support in your creative passion when you were a kid?
I think I was always creating or making stuff, like, even, like, say, comic books, for instance, G.I. Joe one Christmas. And this particular Christmas lined up, I was, like, in the 6th grade.
Okay.
So my mom brought me a professional art kit then.
Oh,
so
nice.
She knew, you know what I'm saying? I don't remember if I begged for it or I asked for it or she was just like, here, like, you know what I'm saying? And that was that gift that year. But also I was, like, so heavy in the G.I. Joe comic books, was collecting the action figures, everything. Snow Job came out. The snowmobile's not out, but it's in the cartoon, it's in the comic books. I just went around in the kitchen and just started finding random things to be like, let me make my own snowmobile. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be things, and then, like, I've got creative family members in my family, like, in all kind of avenues. So I think it was kind of like, it's always there. It's just like something you do.
Yeah.
But then in junior high, the spark came, like, when I got to go to Heron Saturday School. Won a scholarship. I was at 101, which is now known as Harshman Junior High, which they started making us call it back then. Thanks, Miss Greenwood.
Shout out, Miss Greenwood.
Yeah. But I was doing the Saturday classes at Heron. And then I became the first black kid to go to this IU Summer Arts Institute in IU. I don't think they have it. I've been trying to do research on it to see what else I can find about it. But just those different sparks to where it's like, it took me out of my element and just put me with other creatives.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I saw something then, you had different sparks in life, and then it becomes this point in life is like, you're going to have to grow up and get a real job.
Yep.
You know, and then it's like I just left it all alone. But then later, I was always still drawing and things, but I wasn't pursuing a career. It might be moments and times, and I was like, hey, I could do this, I could do that.
Yeah.
So after a crazy-ass life, and then when we talk about kids, right? Like, my oldest son was starting high school. My biological youngest son he was in like junior high.
Okay.
So it was like, we're talking about goals and goal setting and how we're going to be with goals. And then my oldest son, which is Gary Jr., he's like, what about you, Daddy? What goals did you want to do? And what did you do? So I guess how I ended up back in school at Ivy Tech. And I'm not knowing at the time I'm going for fine art. I'm just going like graphic design, thinking I'm going to make some money, I'm going to do this. But I didn't know shit about computers. Outside of logging in and simple stuff, to me, Mac and PC was Nike and Adidas. They were just name brands, which I guess essentially they are. Didn't realize they were different operating systems. So when I'm back in school for graphic design, not only am I trying to learn the design programs and processes, I'm also trying to basically learn how to work a computer.
Sure.
And then it evolved down the line. They had these like midterm, like summer art camps at Ivy Tech where you could leave like Viscom and you could go to fine art. You could leave fine art and you go to Viscom. Or you could come from another department, kind of like to let us clear our minds.
Sure.
And when I came down to the fine art, all I took was fine art classes. So when I came down that week, by the end of the week, it was like I had Hector Del Campo, and he was like, where'd you come from? And then I got Stephanie Lewis Robinson, which is the department head. She's about to retire. Love Stephanie. But heck, all of them at Ivy Tech kind of changed my life. But those two in particular, Stephanie stops me at the end of the week and is like, so where did you come from? And I'm like, Viscom. And she's like, well, why are you up there? Why are you here? And I'm like, well, I didn't want to be a starving artist. And she laughed and said, you could be a starving designer if that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So looked at my transcripts, and then now I'm in fine art classes. Yeah. So it's like, but then when she looked at my transcripts, she says, I'm not going to let you stop the graphic design. She said, honey, you've come too far for me to let you stop. So I'm going to let you in this program, but you have to complete that program. I'm like, oh, man, because I was kind of struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in turn, the struggles there and having the fine art, it kind of helped me balance, and I was back to working and my creative processes flowed a little better. And I technically became the first hybrid student in Ivy Tech that's in between visual communications and fine art. Yeah. Now it's a trend. Like people are doing it. Yeah, for sure. But then I look at it like, that's really our life. Like, why do we have to stay confined to a particular box?
Right.
If we have other talents or outlets, like even if you pursue one main source, it's like, why can't we parallel and have these other things off to the side that we can use or incorporate? So I also looked at like a lot of crazy odd jobs I've had in life.
For sure.
And it's like, dude, you could have had a job you hated, but you learned something on that job.
Right.
And if you put it back into your practice, as I look at it like the Batman utility belt. You know, Batman learned something in episode 56 he didn't use in episode 156. And somebody's like, hey, where did you get that from? And if they're true followers, like, oh, he's been having that. He just didn't use it. He picked it up. He got it from the Penguin. And that, you know, they'll know that. So like, you know how like we're into things. So I've got friends that are heavier into action figures, toy collectibles, and comic books than me. Music, I'm deep into music and art, but there's always somebody who's like, just their deep dive. Yeah. So I got friends that's like, dude, we have a comic book conversation, and if I say something and they, oh, no, it's episode blah, 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 and it's this, that, and other, and this costume, and you're like, they know. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to argue with you. It's like, I'm not that deep.
Yeah,
but,
I'm going to cede that knowledge to you.
Yeah, but over here, it's like, I'm the art nerd, so if I travel, I'm in another city, I want to go to a museum. Yeah. I want to see a gallery, and I need to read a book about this different art, part of history, or, hey, this reminds me of such and such's work, or this motivated me to this. So it's like, I just noticed, like, this is truly my calling. Yeah. And I feel like Like I saw it early in life, and then you kind of drift off and you're still in it. And then there's a moment that brings you like back full circle. Like, this is where I need to be.
Sure.
So for me, also after the Ivy Tech degree to associates, it's like I transfer to Heron and get a bachelor's, which is a full 360 for a kid who was taking Saturday schools.
Right.
But then also looking at life, like, so people out there like never stop. I'm a kid who got kicked out of high school, got a GED, and now I got 3 college degrees. Got a few other technical certifications along the way.
Sure.
But when I look at like the education part of this, it's like, this was me, but this is me, and I'm in schools like a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm not cutting classes. I'm cutting into classes. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's one, thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's wild to see all the threads come together. And I think about my life in that way a lot too, is just like, there's these moments where you kind of just like something happens and you maybe not know it then, but upon reflection, you're like, okay, this kind of planted the seed to go here. And this is like what led me to go this direction. And what brought me all the way back to another point to maybe connect other dots that I didn't realize were a part of the journey that I'm on. And it's less a linear line or even a circle than it is just like a constellation. I'm adopted, so in the adoptee community, we talk about the adoptee constellation because it's not just adoptees, adoptive parents, and birth parents. There's like a bunch of people that are part of this web, and there's no like lineality to it. It's just like there. You know what I mean? And I love the idea of, we had Greg Buck, videographer, on the show, and he talked about a lot of people want to come in as a creative and just, they only want to do the one thing. Like, they only want to be the producer or the videographer, like, and shoot the stuff. And it's like, well, do you know how to even be like a grip or like do any of the other parts of this? And like, why is that the thing that you want to do? Not to invalidate it, but like, can you perform some of these other things, get to know the full breadth of like the industry as opposed to just the one kind of mindset that you have. And then when you tap into all those things, you might either find one, another passion that you might have in the same industry. 2, you have a bunch of avenues opened up that you didn't know before. Or 3, you find the job that you really wanted to have and you have a ton of other skills that you can now pull out of your utility belt that you picked up in episode 56. And it's now episode 156, but you got that. And then the people around you like know that because they're like, oh, well, I saw Gary go through all of these things. And like that, probably where he picked that up from was that class, you know, that he was splitting time between when he was at Ivy Tech for the first time, you know? So I've just got a little soapbox there because I'm just like thinking about the way that we tap into all the different types of things that are available to us. Go ahead.
So piggybacking off of that, and we talking about me and ceramics. It kind of formed that same way. When I got to Heron and they were looking at my transcripts, it was Pam Hacker. And she was like, oh, you're kind of all over the place and you're kind of good with this and you're kind of good with that. And then it became this question, what about ceramics? And I was like, ceramics? Like, I ain't done that since I was a kid. Like, you're about to take ceramics. You know what I'm saying? So then in a roundabout way, like the thing that I wasn't trying to do became the thing that I'm good at. So like Corey Jefferson, I had ceramics over there. Him and Kathleen, I can't think of Kathleen's last name right now, but she was my illustration professor. Okay. They did my mid-level review at Heron. Yeah. And I was trying to lean more towards printmaking, but me and the professor there, it wasn't like the same vibe. You know what I'm saying? It was some different stuff. But over here, it's like more freedom. And Corey's like, hey, I'm not trying to twist your arm, but I really think you should use ceramics as like your second medium for this interdisciplinary practices degree, which means you're going to specialize in 2 things. So my main focus is drawing, and then it would be the ceramics. Cool. All right. So I did it, got a degree in it, the whole 9, I'm done. I graduated. I was done in 16 technically, but graduated in the spring of 17. Right? Okay, gotcha. So in 18, I get the opportunity to be the featured artist at Art and Soul. So at the time, I'm talking to Shannon Linker and Ernie Business Britton. And I'm like, hey, I got this show mapped out in my mind. And they're like, Shannon goes, well, Gary, we were actually thinking of a whole 3D show. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I haven't done this stuff in over a year. I don't have the space to do it. I don't know. And then they pointed me into the direction of the Brickyard, which is somewhere I already went to as a student. And I was like, they had open studios. So I started working there. And it's like years of doing this, like my process has evolved to even be like the connections to where, hey, there's a kiln available. Hey, there's a slab roller that you might like. Hey, try these new glazes. Hey, try this new clay. So it's like, an area I wasn't even thinking pursuing.
Yeah.
And then when we were talking off camera, like the education part.
Right.
So for a kid who hated school, there was no way you could get me to thinking that I would be in the arts ed. And that's like, I'm going in my 6th year with Arts for Learning. And it's like, I love this process. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I was an adjunct with adults for a bit and it was cool, but I really like working with the kids.
Yeah.
And
the less jaded by the world, more open into their imaginations and creativity.
it kind of feels like, for me, like I didn't have a me to talk to growing up. So when I meet the kids and they're interested in me, now they got a me to talk to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's important, I think, for those of us who, even if you ain't sitting on top of the world or you are, is to give back to the people who have walked the path or been in the same line that you've been in, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I know we go deep.
No, for sure. And I appreciate it because it's making me think about, like, you call it, like, we talk about the full circle moments or just how we can pick out moments. And I'm listening to your story and you talk about, like, you're now known, like, you got to ceramics in a roundabout way. And I feel like that's something that, especially since 2020, I would say, but probably since the first butter, like, that's what people are seeing is a lot of your ceramic work. And then thinking about, like, I wanted to ask you earlier, how did you start really doing hand, like, sculpting and carving? Because you said, like, that's your preferred method. It's not the wheel. But then I'm thinking about, like you shared, when you've always been a drawer, drawn on whatever surface. And when you were a kid, you were trying to cobble together whatever to make a snowmobile for your action figure. Yeah. So, like, you've always also had, like, that hand, like, crafting aspect to it. It's just, I don't know, it's just like, it's interesting to me how that's kind of like, just kind of comes back a little bit each time down the road. And now we're here in the studio where you have 2 large pieces of equipment that help you craft with your hands in that way.
And I think for me, it's kind of like looking at, like, different jobs throughout life or using hand dexterity. My first job worked at Little Caesars. We were making pizzas.
Sure.
But that's like you said, you got to do everything. You got to answer the phone. You got to take orders, learn to work the cash register. You got to know how to make all this stuff. You know, we hated anchovies. Somebody gets them. Everybody try to change line, but you got to touch them. Somebody's got to make this. So it's like you learn the whole process of the business, so to sense. And with the ceramics, I think it kind of came in the same way. Like, sometimes I try not to take myself so serious. Yeah. And a lot of people say, you always look so serious. I'm like, it's just how I look. But a lot of times I'm laughing at myself. Yeah. Like, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. For sure. Like, you know, I make mistakes, fuck up all the time. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, do we learn from our mistake? How do I evolve from my mistake? Okay, this didn't work and let's get better. With the ceramics, it was kind of like, you know, I look at it like they chose me. Yeah. But the hand building, though, so, you know, and I got a lot of the basics. And then at one point when I first was doing stuff, I was just doing these brick walls. I think I got some small ones in the hallway around here, but I was doing brick walls with, like, graffiti on them, and people liked them. It was different. Then I need to evolve a little more. And then I was in a lot of independent studies. Yeah. So back to Corey Jefferson, Corey made a lot of these boats. And so I would see kind of how he did them, and he did a lot of skulls. Okay. And I was like, well, kind of like to an homage for him, I did a couple of skulls, but they were like my take on skulls. Sure. And people were like, hey, this is pretty cool. Then, like I said, laid off for a while. And then when I got the chance to do my own show, I was like, all right, I'm going to dig out these pieces that I had already made before. Then I'm going to create a couple of new pieces and, you know, kind of started evolving a little bit. And then after Art and Soul, it was like, the ceramics still really didn't pick up. I showed them out of town, Black Creativity in Chicago. It's like, for instance, my first piece of butter, the King is Black, by the time it got there, it was 2 years old. Sure. You know what I'm saying? King Fathead, by the time he showed, he was like 3 years old. So it's like something can be done and lay there and you either thinking nothing of it or think this the world of it, and it doesn't come out until it's time to shine. Yeah. And with King Fathead, it was a joke, like, this is a non-smoking building. I came in with a cigar in my mouth, and I was like, oh, shit. Tapped it out on the floor, and then just stuck it. I still had a couch where the slab roller's at. I stuck it in the mouth of King Fathead, was up on the shelf, took a picture, put it on Instagram, and everybody's like, dude, you should show that. And then next thing I know, it's like a signature move. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I actually smoked the cigars and look at it like cigars and art are both conversation pieces or conversation starters. For sure. So it's just kind of like, you know, once again, how we've been talking, and it was like, save it for the podcast. It's just, I think, how we look at the world. Like, sometimes we all have unique perspectives, and if you just bring your perspective into reality or just lean into it. Like, even if it's an abstract ideal and some people think you're crazy, it's better to follow it and either fail or follow it and succeed or follow it and catch other people than to never follow it at all. And then 20, 30 years down the line, you're like, I should have followed that ideal.
Yeah.
And it's too late.
Yeah. You can always regret not doing something. Like, you always will find yourself in that if you don't do it. But if you even throw something at it, there's the opportunity to not have to feel that regret, or to at least like say that you tried to pursue that thing. Honestly, we just live in a world where we don't really like empower kids specifically to do that, which is why as adults, when we go through a natural period of like, I'm not necessarily pursuing my passion because I'm now part of the quote unquote workforce, it's like, this is what being an adult or the American dream is supposed to be, is what I've been told. And yet something inside of me is like, maybe not fulfilled or whatever.
Yeah, like, this doesn't sound right, or it doesn't feel right.
Well, and then it's like, could I have gotten that 8 years back where I was doing the thing, where I wasn't doing the thing that I was really passionate about? Like, what would I have done with that 8 years, before?
Right.
So,
and sometimes I know people, like, you got to do what you got to do, but it's 100%. Like, start small.
Well, exactly.
You start
like
small.
You were still creating at that time. It just wasn't like your means of sustainability. Like, that wasn't like making the check.
Like, I still got sketchbooks and just loose sketches from years ago.
Yeah.
And like, I tell kids or even other artists, like, when you keep these sketchbooks, they're like journals or diaries, and you can always go back into them and pull stuff out. So there's some stuff that I can pull out now and be like, hey, I can rework this. Or, hey, this ideal, I can build off of this ideal. And you can just look and see, like, I've grown from here to here.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And then, so whenever you're feeling like, I'm not making it, I ain't done this and I ain't done that, like, don't compare yourself to nobody else. Compare yourself to yourself. Like, how much work did I put in? What did I do here? So even for myself, it's like, well, my shit's not getting better if I'm not working on it. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the work is like research. Or just doing other things to bring you back to it. Like when you get in a creative block, if you're a writer, you go do something else, listen to music, go for a walk, something might spark you. Photography, the same way. Well, artists, the same way. You get a creative block, dude, I might binge watch stuff. Or I'll go over here and I'll dig into these books, or the books that's around the corner here, or some books at home, and just be like, all right, let me go back. And then every now and then I'll just go back through my old sketchbooks. Or now, like, we got social media and like your phone, so you can literally go back and look like, hey, look at me then and look at me now. Like, okay, I've come a long way, so, or I got shit I can improve on. Yeah. So it's like, I guess as long as we hold ourselves accountable for us, we're okay. For sure. How often do you return to the sketchbooks for, like, is it for, I like it because you said it's like inspiration. It can be inspiration, and it can be like just reflection on the growth. Yeah, sometimes it depends, like, because I might have notes in one and I'm looking like, I know that was in that sketchbook. All right, let me go back, and it's in another sketchbook. And then when I'm going to look for this one particular thing, I find something else. Yeah. Or if, hey, I got an illustration or I got a sketch I did, and it's like kind of like blah, blah, blah. And you go in that sketchbook looking for that sketch. Or sometimes I just go through them, or like just for nothing. Yeah. And then you see something else, like, whoa, let me turn that page back. Wait a minute, I forgot all about this. Maybe I can pursue this now. Or that was a stupid ideal. You know what I'm saying? But at least I got the ideal out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some of the things I like, is just trying. I'm like, some of my pieces I've made, and it's like, I made them, I had an ideal in my mind, and they really came out kind of weird looking, and nobody's like really taking to them now. Like, sometimes even me, and then I'm like, well, it might just serve as a greatest misses, or everything doesn't work. But then in turn, it could turn, like, down the line, the piece that I'm not thinking about, that I fucking hate, somebody else loves to death. Right. You know what I'm saying? But if you didn't go through the thing of making this or creating it, or at least putting it out, then you would know. You know what I'm saying? Like your first podcast is nowhere near your podcasting now. Definitely not. You know what I'm saying? Or how I select my guest, or, the lighting setup, everything. For sure. Well, it's nice to have, like, that record to be able to reflect on. I talked about this with Jingo as well, as, like, I have a bunch of stuff that I did a long time ago that I don't have anymore, like, that are in notebooks and whatnot. And I wish that I could go back and see, because I do a lot more writing now, and a lot of it was written based, but I'm just like,
I didn't live very as intentionally. And I think I took a lot of that creation for granted because I had like identity stuff and whatever, you know, just going through it in life too. And I like really, really respect and love to tap into folks who have been able to hold on to those things because it provides a larger context or a wider context for that specific person. And I think the other thing too is like you've got all these sketchbooks and notebooks that are going to be 90% never seen by anyone. And to think about the font of knowledge within that,
right?
That you can like for just within yourself. Another thing I was thinking, this made me think of like lived experience. We talk about being experts in our own lived experience in our community. And I feel like you literally have the dictionary, the encyclopedia of your lived experience, all of that knowledge at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And I think it's just awesome that you can be able to tap into that and then either reflect or build upon, you know?
Yeah, because for me, it's like, dude, I used to hear all the time, you're not gonna see 18. Or you're not gonna live to be 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I got kids that are like 30 now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whoa. And then you kind of start looking backwards at times too, because there's been periods, like dark periods in life, and you know, I don't know what's going on, I don't know where I'm gonna be. Yeah. And it was like in that darkness, the light shines too. It's like, dude, you got this at your hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, use this.
Yeah.
So I got back into reading, got back into sketch and all that. So that was during the prison stint that ended up becoming overturned.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, even though I don't have the conviction on me, I still went through that experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't erase that 3.5 years or whatever. Like,
but instead of being mad, it's like there's some things that are lost, but there's a lot that's gained. Yeah. There's a lot that probably preserved me. There's a lot of people that I met in there that were instrumental in changing my life or my thought process.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Or even controlling anger issues or anything. 100%. So it's like, you know, everything we go through in life is just like we got to find something in that that's a life lesson that pertains to us. And I think when we get that, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? So just like when you was adopted, it's weird because, not really weird, but just, I guess, exceptional that the past few years I've met more people that have been adopted, or even like one of the kids that I work with artistically is like adopted. The adoptive family is super supportive. So sometimes I know I hear people and you probably think like my father wasn't around when I was a kid. I knew who he was. He lived in Alaska. We lived here. He was from here. So I didn't really always see him. We didn't have a bad relationship. We just really didn't see each other. Yeah. But he came back here the last 3 years of his life. Was here the first 3 years of mine, the last 3 years of his. Phenomenal grandfather and father, you know what I'm saying? But then you just talk to other relatives or people you know, and it's like everybody's always got a story of something they liked, they didn't like. And I know at one point I was like, talking to somebody and was like about my father not being around. And then I was trying to be there with my kids and their mom, even though it was a bad relationship at the time because my father wasn't there. So you trying to just hold on to things. And then I remember my mom telling me like sometimes, and I have other conversations with people, but like sometimes a person being gone might be better than a person being there. So like there's some people who grew up in abusive households. Sure. So for them, they were probably like, I wish this person would be gone. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Or a parent might have been an alcoholic or whatever it was. It was like there's different things that reflect on all of us as kids that are out of our control.
100%.
And it's how we deal with them as life goes on. But when you talk to people, like no matter how bad your life is, you can be like, shit, my life's not as fucked up as somebody else's. Right. Or I thought my life was really, really bad and my life was really great compared to these people's lives. Right. And then you look at people who come from, like there's kids who grew up rich with silver spoons in their mouths and they're worse than a lot of us. Sure. And then you got a kid who had nothing that can change the world and they take over. It's just like, well, damn. So yeah, it's kind of like I said, we're not supposed to compare ourselves to people, but you can see the inspiration in people. Yeah. 100%. And sometimes you can see the, hey, don't do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Well, like you said, it's like, what are we learning or applying from the lessons that we learn? And like other people's experiences. I love that you just broke it down like that because it speaks to like everybody's lived experience all exists in the same space. Like we all have something that we go through. And like when we meet other people and like we get into a point where we can have a conversation and share parts of our lives with each other,
it's not that, oh, I'm now in comparison. It's like, okay, like it gives me greater context to the communities or just being part of humanity, like that whole fabric that then can help me inform like what I am doing or why I'm passionate about something or just, any infinite number of things that you could ask, like questions. It's like every other person that we can come into contact with, and maybe it's not like you become friends or anything, but like something about that interaction or relationship can now inform your experience. It doesn't become your experience.
Right.
It is a part of, again, this well of lessons and knowledge and information that you build up over your lifetime that hopefully will lead you to truly lean into yourself and not try to grasp at the straws of other people's lives.
Yeah, and I think now, especially like for younger people and even some of us, it's like it's easy to get caught up in social media.
100%.
And like I read something the other day, like everybody's posting their failures, and you might hear somebody every now and then that says something and people are like, oh, they're all so negative and well, they're just going through what they're going through. But it's like it is kind of like that. Like we only see like glitters or glam. So even if we made a movie, a big Hollywood production, nobody sees what's going on behind the scenes that takes this person or this team or this crew to get to that level.
Exactly.
And then some people do things that are unscrupulous. Some people make a lot of sacrifices to get there.
Yeah.
And so then I think with those things, if you do the unscrupulous things, at some point in time, it's going to come out.
For sure.
You're going to feel a certain way.
For sure.
But if you do these things that it's like, if you're on your path and you're on your correct life mission, it's your mission. We never know when we're going to get there.
Yeah.
There are times when people are like, oh, you made it. I'm like, made it to where?
Made it, yeah. What does that mean? Yeah.
Or it's times like, oh, you're still doing that. Or, it used to be, get a real job. And now I'm like, my life or my life passions and my creativity have become a job. And sometimes the job or the business aspect wears you down.
Yeah.
So even myself, I have to remove myself from that and say, okay, my greatest goal is to create. My greatest goal is to leave creative legacy. Like I've got my own people that I'm not necessarily comparing myself to, but I look at their life stories. So like a Pablo Picasso, everybody mentions Pablo. He didn't make it till he was in his 80s. You know what I'm saying? And then you got somebody say on the opposite spell like Tupac or Biggie. They did everything in their life and they're gone before they're 25.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do you want it all right now?
Yeah.
And it's over? Or, does it take a little longer for you to get where you need to be? And like being a creative path, like we're talking about in a city that's not really a creative market.
Yeah.
It's not really, like we got a lot of creative people. We got a lot of arts lovers. We got some people that buy art, but this is not a big arts community like we were talking off camera. Yeah. That's when they said save it for the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, I was going to say something and now I've forgotten because now I'm on the market community part.
Yeah.
So you have been, you're born and raised here, right?
Born and raised.
In the Naptown through and through. So you have a really deep perspective on the changes of the community here. And as an artist yourself, that gives you an insight into that particular community. And there are a lot of creatives here. Like there are a lot of people doing a lot of different things, whether it just be like physical art, digital art, whether it be videographers, audio people, podcasters, I guess, whatever that looks like. There are a lot of people here. And in the same breath, the market for artwork, for the creation of said things that these creators and the people in this arts community are doing is non-existent, or does it it exists but it's just very small?
It's just weird. I think it's a small market, and I think like one of my mentors, and I've heard other older people say it, like it's a 9-to-5 sports town. We were the amateur sports capital. That's what we were built up upon. Now we're in a boom where we're moving. It's kind of like a renaissance in a sense for here.
Sure. And
I think that really didn't hit until 2020.
Right.
So you figure we're really 5 years in of this renaissance in the sense that people are seeing that we're getting people to come in and incorporate, hey, we can get art here. Hey, we can get music here. Hey, there's videographers here.
Yeah.
Hey, there's podcasts here. It's like DJs. We got some of the best DJs in the world. Like, cars. We got like a lot of fancy custom cars here. A lot of work gets done. I can think of like just 3 people like that I've known throughout life or they click. So like, Doug Parsons, the celebrity realtor, knew him as a kid. We was in high school together, all that, so we've talked, and these guys kind of like motivate me because they're from here.
Sure.
Mike Epps, we were in junior high homeroom together. Mike's been funny since I met him. You know what I'm saying? I was into my art the same time. Coach K at Quality Control used to hang in his house with his cousin Yuri. Yuri was doing beats, DJing when I'm trying to get into rap. And then when I come home, or now I look at where all these guys are at now, it's like it inspires me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, this is Naptown. Like I've been in the areas, I've been in the spaces where these guys been, or when I see them and we talk and it's still all love. You know, you might not talk to everybody every day, but it's like, it inspires me because it's like these dudes made it from this city in similar or the same conditions as me. So it's like, dude, I gotta keep going further. I gotta dig in deeper. Yeah. So that's what I think made me start pushing my artistry more, or even becoming like an artist that's a brand. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you're a pioneer in a city where it's not known for that anyway, it's like you get pushed back and you get resistance. So you get this dude is crazy, or you get people that's like, oh, he's made it. Or then if you start doing good, like, oh, he's making too much money, let's slow him down. Or I don't want to support them, or I don't want to push into this person, or and it's just like, I think a lot of people never really see the behind the scenes or the sacrifices or the things that like we've went through in life. So like you said, our life experiences, like with identity, being adopted, you know what I'm saying? And or just being men that are, you know, Asian and black. It's like, you know what I'm saying? We're not the standard norm. Nope. So it's like you always
definitely not
like,
in Indiana.
Well, hey, what am I? Let me, you know what I'm saying? So you're always trying to find your place as growing up. So like you know what I'm saying, before the adoption or whatever, you're in the system.
So I was adopted as an infant out of Korea. Yeah.
So out of Korea, but then you find out later you adopted, or it changes your thing. So same with me, like, okay, my father's not really around and I'm a kid, but then people, you look just like your dad, you know what I'm saying? Or I'll talk to him. Yeah. And it's like, it's not the same. It's like we're finding our own identity. Even if we know who we are, you're finding your own way. And I think a lot of people are scared to find their own way or to be themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever that is, it's like there's only one you. Yeah. Dr. Seuss said it best. You're not born to fit in. We're born to stand out. Us not following our weird passions or paths that I'm sure people probably told you, like, you're trying to do a what?
Oh, for sure.
Podcast. I mean, we wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and us talking, and just in this short amount of time, it's like, we don't know who we're going to touch or who we're going to change.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So...
But it's having more conversation. It's like just even being able to sit in a space like this and have a conversation with you like this is like, that's what leads to more of those conversations. You know, like you said, I think a lot of people are scared to pursue their own identity. And I think it's part of like, quote unquote, the American culture of assimilation, of like, you want to be American. You don't want to be you. Like you, or if you are going to be you want to be the American version of you. Like, what does that mean?
And
you know, it's like,
especially at this time and age. And it's kind of like, so when I was a kid and I look at it, it's like, if America's supposed to be a melting pot and we're all supposed to be these unique individuals that come together, we need to embrace that. You know what I'm saying? We need individuality. Exactly. We need people to come up with ideals that could change the world. But then, you know, sometimes the powers that be are threatened by a voice that doesn't sound like theirs. Yep. So even here, you know, Indiana, I get a lot of love, but we are still a conservative state, even though the city is Democratic. Yeah. Sometimes I get messed with opposition, or it takes a lot longer to cut through red tapes or stereotypes or misconceptions to get things done. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which, that's the gift and the curse here, I think.
100%. Like the red tape 100% exists. I also think that there are people that operate in all creative spaces that have, and maybe this, I might be saying stuff that might be, people might not like, but I think they have stranglehold on like certain relationships with folks in institution that would, you know, maybe be willing to take a risk if they hadn't already established this prior relationship. And the relationship they've established furthers these cultural norms of like what they want to see, but maybe that doesn't reflect like particularly the city and the way that that's made up, but especially the communities that they say that they want to interact with and engage with.
Yeah, I guess that we'll both be in that same, where they might be mad at us, but I look at it in the same context. Like the lens might be slightly different, but I'm seeing the same thing and hearing the same thing you're saying. It's like, I think sometimes some of these people say they want change, but they're in the way of change. You know what I'm saying? And or they know that they need to embrace these other things, but maybe corporate sponsors, or maybe it's this other person who's pulling puppet strings. It's like, we don't like them, or I don't know, or you're on a blacklist, and it's a small city. So if you get on one blacklist, and other people might be like, oh, such and such doesn't like them, and they're the money people. I don't want to touch them now. And then there are other people who'll be like, I'm going to roll with them. You give them a chance. It's like what they're saying. And it's like, I think it's like us. It's like having a unique voice, or being a voice, or you can speak for people who are underrepresented, or cross or counter cultures. You know what I mean? It's like, we need that. I remember an older cat, and what was cool, it was an older white guy at the time I met. This is like in the 90s. And he was like, the problem with Indiana, or Indianapolis in particular? He said, we want to be a big, major metropolitan city, but we're going to hold on to our small town ways, and we're on our own way. You know what I'm saying? You got to let progress and change take place. So I think there are some people who want to see this stuff, but then you look at these people who are like fear-based, and I'll just call them out right now. It's just Trump lineage. It's like, you say you're for America, you say you want this, you say you want that, but the things that you're doing don't reflect that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't reflect the melting part. It doesn't reflect bringing people together. It's just separating more people. Exactly. And when you talk about like the education system, it's like, we're not always teaching individuality. It's teaching assimilation. Yeah. And I think we need more individual free thinkers than just more assimilation. Like, naturally, there are some people who need to assimilate and have a routine and work systematically, but it's like, still, can we have some balance to this? Can we have some fairness? Yeah. The equity is what we want, but we don't. We are in the era, I guess maybe it's post DEI now, but where we're in the letter era, the acronym era, and it's not. We don't like say the words out loud, because then we have to actually confront what those words mean. And like you said, this Trump lineage, like the fear is like, we don't actually know what we're talking about. We're just regurgitating what other people are talking about, because like, I might be in a poor, I might be in poverty here as a white person in Indiana. However, there are other people that are Black, that are Latino, that are Asian, who are in a worse position than me, and at least I'm not them. And that's the position they take. And because they're afraid of being either replaced or whatever the case might be by other people who are most likely experiencing some sort of similar economic situation, that fear of just difference, is enough for them to be like, I'm going to do everything in my power to not only harm myself, but to also harm you. And the funny thing with that you mentioned too, so it's like, no matter who we are, or if you're arguing amongst each other, and right now they're trying to replace you with automation. Right. Or AI. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A robot. So it's like, while you're over here not liking this person, they're trying to replace you with a machine. Right. I mean, like, dude, going to a store, how many self-checkout lines are there? You know what I mean? It's Meijer is only self-checkout now. Yeah, so it's like, this is crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Amazon, I've heard they got a lot of robots out there that taking and doing people's jobs. And then it's like, well, what happens if the machines break one day? Right. What happens if there's, so even like computers, and we get into code, and the kids don't read books and they don't write. Now that some of them don't have to sign their name. So it's like, what happens if the world blacks out one day? What happens if we do get hopefully it never happens, but theoretically speaking, if we got hit with an EMP, how many of us are going to be able to function? Like, can we communicate? You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from the time before cell phones, or when cell phones were new, and there was just one phone in the house, or TV went out. Yep. And, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff that we're all comfortable with now. 100%. But it's like, when the internet goes, I was like, damn, I was working on something, blah, 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 but I got a book. Yeah. I can draw. We can read. Yeah, you can do stuff with our hands. Yeah. I know too many people that are friends who don't know the directions when they go outside. And I'm like, oh my God. I used to have to read maps when I first started traveling. For sure, yeah. I remember. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I had to be the navigator for my dad. And I'm like, I don't think that I know what I'm telling you to go. And he's like, yeah, you got it. You got it. We're lost. But it's like, some of those things help you as time goes on. 100%. You don't even realize it. You know what I mean? 100%. Yeah. So like, I said, we met at Tease Me a number of times, because I've just started to go there, and it's close to the studio. So I know you pop in there from time to time, and I've just had the privilege to be there at the same time as you. And I will say, like, so I first
became aware of you as a person and as an artist at Butter 2 with that King Fat Head piece. And I was like, this is the fucking most wild thing I've ever seen, like art piece or art wise from Indiana. And I'm like, I didn't even know what I was looking at.
Right on.
But I was just like, I would love to meet this person. And we were talking, like Mike was talking, before we got on mic, and he's like, I've always wanted to come up and talk to you, but there's always somebody around you because you either are interacting with other artists because you know a lot of people and you have a lot of time in the city, or you're interacting with people who are like enthralled by your work and they're like, man, I got to talk to you about it. And you're at the shows, you're at your pieces, and you're engaging with the community in ways that I think we don't always think of when we think of artists. And I think it's important. And I'm trying to I'm trying to keep my line of thinking as to why I got here. But one of the reasons I say all that is because like you're such a personable dude. And like you're just like very down to earth, and it's easy to have easy to have a conversation with. That's not just like we're just talking at each other, but like we're tapping into like what we're saying with each other. And I think one of the reasons we're definitely going to have a multi-part conversation is because there is one of the reasons when I first started to do Indianapolis focused stuff on the show, I realized very quickly that I couldn't just do 30-minute episodes because I needed the context of the person that I was talking to, because I didn't really know a lot of the people I was inviting on. And so what happened very quickly was we were just getting into the backstory of it all. And then like, that's how it became conversational, is because I'm like, I want to know about your life if you're willing to share it with me. And that like kind of privilege and that kind of like willingness to lean into the relationship aspect of it, I think has always shown through in our interactions. Yeah. And I think it's one of the reasons I was so hyped about being able to get you on the calendar, was because I knew we could just sit down and have a great conversation.
Authenticity meets
100%.
That's what that is. And that's what I dig. So I know, and some people, I think around, because it's a small market or just the mindsets sometimes of the city, that some people may be intimidated by that, or they don't know how to take it. But I think really like the interactions like this, and like I'm saying, like for the country or the culture or cities at large. And I think also for me growing up hip hop, it's like it embraced everybody and everything from all over.
Yeah, we ain't even talked about hip hop anthology, guys.
We ain't talked about half of this stuff. So, but it's like, it's like I really see the melting pot. Yeah. And like I grew up on Brookside in the 70s and 80s, and it was like there was a lot of racial tension and racial divides in certain places, but there were a lot of us and a lot of kids that come from all over. And then like at the same time, I remember like so like when I say Doug, I met Doug now, and my Uncle Steve, my little cousin Stevie, they lived in Brindaway. Yeah. Which back then, all that area up that way, the fort was still active. It was finance center. Okay. Yeah, so it was active. So you had kids from all over. You know what I'm saying? I took classes, when I went to school, 37, we were in this continuous progress. There were kids from all over. Yeah. So I was always exposed to kids from different racial, financial, economical breakdowns throughout my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's easier to relate that people are different, even though we have similarities, but we don't think we have similarities. It's like, I think it's just easier to embrace people. Yeah. And sometimes it's just like fascinating. You just want to know more. You know what I'm saying? Like, 100%. Like and then when you get people who are like, or from any walk of life that are open to talking to people and sharing ideals, for me, that's what America's really about, or the world at large. It's like, so like they taught us American history, but world history was where it was at.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm trying to get people to understand that. I'm like, American history is about 400 years old. Yeah. That's not very long. My wife and I honeymooned in Greece, and we went to a city, it's called like Akrotiri, I think. That thing is like 4,000 years old. And we're just like walking through there, and they had like rudimentary plumbing systems, like all kinds of stuff that they were just like the archaeologists are uncovering. And I'm just like, all I could think about was like, we complain about like revising history in America when we are changing a word on a page. Right. But that page is just a page in a huge book, and we are, for whatever reason, unwilling to read any of the other parts of the book. Yeah,
or you just think, oh, we're America, we're the greatest. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, wait a minute, what about the rest of the world? 100%. Or when people say immigrants and like, or people migrating in, and I'm like, America was built on immigration and migration.
Exactly.
Whether it was forced, circumstantial or voluntary.
Yep.
America is a melting pot built on all these different variables and vessels rather of people coming from all over.
Exactly.
And somewhere along the way, we've kind of lost that, I think.
100%.
You know, or never really had it. Like we said, it was a false curtain. But I'm like, I think in this day and time, there are enough of us's in the world that we like, nah, dude, it's time to see like the embrace, the change. You know.
Well, it's a lot of old white men trying to hang on to power. And I think we are I think the pandemic helped exacerbate it a little bit, but we're in a time now where there is a lot of people like more than willing, I think, to come together. And and I think right now, the big thing is like, how do we make sure we not just build the bridge, but it's a sustainable thing? I think we do a lot of one-off events here in the city. That's another part of the market community aspect. We do a lot of one-time things, a lot of annual things. But when I'm looking at the calendar in between, it's a little bit fewer and farther.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, so once again, we're going to get in trouble here. So just say some of the nonprofits, for instance. When I found out that my group, We Are in the Arts, was doing more work and shows than what nonprofits are, because technically they only have to do a show a year. So the ones that only have to do a show a year, it's like you're only doing the minimum. So it's like you said, what are you doing in between? So it's kind of like when we live and we die. You got the entry date, you got the exit date, but that little hyphen, that dash carries the most weight. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It carries the most weight. Kept hearing that at funerals over and over and over again, and I think that's one of the things also that ingrained, like, because there's a lot of things that changed my thought process, but that's one of the things that made me like, shit, you come in, we're all babies, and you die. How do you want to be remembered? Because it's all this shit you do in this little dash right here is what's important. That's where the weight's at. Because we know when we came in, we don't know when we're going to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could go to sleep and not wake up. I'm in my 50s now.
Yeah.
I've seen people my age and younger just dying like weird.
Yeah.
Survived COVID. I mean, you know, God forbid, I survived a crazy car accident. You know what I'm saying? I've been around gunfights. So it's like, all this shit, dude, and it's like you could go anytime. Or you could live a nice, full life. And if you live a nice, full life, it's like, how am I going to make this better? While making it better for me, how am I going to make it better for other people around me? Like, what can I do? So even like me, I think sometimes I might sacrifice a career trajectory because I want to cultivate creativity in the community that I come up in. Like, I want to see a change. I really want to see the equity. Like, I'm boots on the ground. It's like, dude, this is all I'm locked into now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's times I want to leave and like, I should go to a bigger city, or people say, I thought you'd be somewhere like LA or something. And I'm like, well, for one, you got to have the context, the connections, and the currency to float that dream. So I'm where I'm at for a reason. But then at the same time, I guess somebody else is like, you really need to be here, dude. Like, the city needs to see you keep doing what you're doing. You know, like, well, when we walked up this morning, it was on the phone with Quasar. So like Quasar, it's like, everybody has a path that we have to walk our own paths. But if everybody's doing great work, and we're all doing great work, and we getting this attention on our own, but there's no egos. That's a good thing about the Midwest. I was even talking to people in Chicago. There's not a lot of these big egos, so we're still willing to work together to see change or implement change. So it's like, or like Tupac said, I might not be the one that changes the world, but I guarantee you I'll be a spark. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're sparking now. You know what I mean? We've made moves. We're sparking. We want to see other people go farther than us. You know what I mean? So it's like, And then, you know, as fathers, especially fathers with sons, you like, I got to have a legacy. I got to teach this kid something. You got to be better than me. So like, I told my oldest son the other day, I was proud of him because I look at him and he just turned 31. I look at him at 31 and me at 31. It's like, dude, you were way better than what your daddy was doing. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But if your daddy wasn't doing the stuff that he was doing, I wouldn't be here now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That part of life is hard. I'm still like navigating that right now. It's just like, okay, if none of the stuff. So for example, if I wasn't adopted, I wouldn't be here. Like, I would be living a different life. But it's like each of those little like moments, like if this thing didn't happen, like I would be doing something different. It required all of those things in the village, in my little hyphen, to get to where I'm at now. I'm still got the question mark at the end. I'm still here, but like it takes all of that fill in.
And what's crazy, so even on that little hyphen, see what we say, it's a little part of what we're doing to keep increasing that hyphen. Even 100%. If it stays the same size, it's like when you put it in, what's the context of this? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I know like we're fortunate when both of us are gone, there'll still be things about us that people can pull up and uncover.
Exactly.
And it's like, how do I want to be remembered?
Exactly. What are the things that people pull up about me in the future? Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, we're rewriting history today and have been at this point, and we'll continue to do so. I believe until we can't.
100%.
So it's like, I think the city, the world, it needs more of that. You know what I mean?
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up all your day, and I appreciate you inviting us into the studio and setting us up for maybe parts 2, 3, and 4 of a larger
we'll have
conversation.
Some more days.
We will definitely make it happen. I just got a couple more questions though before I let you go and we get out of here.
Let's get it.
We're talking a lot about like some current issues, maybe in community and market from a creative aspect, from the arts aspect here in Indianapolis. We are 4 months through 2025 now as of release of this episode. What do you want to see the rest of the year in the arts community here?
Ooh, man, I mean, I'd love to see the money just rain in and fall. But just realistically, man, I want to see the word get better. I want to see the city get recognized. I want to see individual artists and creatives recognized for their accolades. You know what I'm saying? So to the people, if we pissed you off, we're just saying, just work with us a little bit better and just show the diversity of the city. Embrace the diversity. Like, especially in these times, it's like, even if you can't say DEI, you can still be DEI.
Sure.
You can do DEI. So it's like, we just made to make it a more sustainable place, self-included. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
There's things for me to work on myself to improve or get better. So I'm not knocking the system as a whole, but the system needs some reworks.
For sure.
You know
it goes back to what you said earlier. It's like, if we can be accountable to ourselves, and like it takes that, and the system is not accountable to itself. So it requires, individuals who can do that individually to come together and coalesce and change that system.
Right.
We talked a lot about your teaching, and I think we're going to have episodes specifically dedicated to that. But going back to this idea of affirmation, what is the most unexpected joy that you get from teaching the youth here?
Man, for me, so honestly, it's a weird thing. I kind of see myself in a lot of the kids, but now I'm from the position that I understand some of the teachers that I might have got on their nerves.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what they were really trying to do, or they were trying to reach me in different ways. So it's like, it's a respect for people in education. Because even as creators, we ain't getting our fair share at times, but I know educators, like, overall, there are some who are, they're not that great. I'll just be honest.
100%.
But overall, educators are underpaid. When we think about it, they're underpaid. And then sometimes the curriculum, and I think now that's why there's so many shifts and stuff. It's like, I think it's you got to embrace individuality. Like, everybody does not learn the same.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the continuous progress program helped me and hurt me in a way. It helped me because you could work at your own pace, you could learn. Yeah. And I was still learning outside the classroom. It hurt me at times, though, because, like, trying to fit in with the guys, you don't want to be too smart.
Yeah.
Because then you're a nerd.
Yep.
And you don't want to be too dumb, because then you get your ass beat at home. So it's like I found this balance to where for years I could just kind of like straddle in the gray areas. But then as different things started going on in life where people, I think, might discount your intelligence because of who you are, where you come from, it's like, hold on. I'm not going for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like more or less like walking upright as men. We inspire inspire other people. So a lot of my takeaways are still with the kids and from the kids, and it reminds me, like, retain that childlike quality. So for me, the awkward junior high years were probably some of my best years, because even if you had fears, you still were fearless.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to pay any bill. Like I tell kids all the time, You don't have to pay bills or nothing. Just enjoy this while you can.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It's a little kid like your son. Like, hey, enjoy this while you can. Somebody's carrying you around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like one day you might have to carry us around. So it's like, I guess just realizing the variables of life and where we're at and accepting the beauty in the small things. But so the biggest reward I would have to say is when a kid smiles or they're happy because you was there. You know what I'm saying? Or they want to connect to me. Like I got kids that want to be artists because of me now.
Yeah.
Or kids that talk to me and their parents. And, you know, I got one kid, Lil Van, man. He's been in my shows.
That's my son's name.
And
Wow.
see, crazy. He's also adopted. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Yeah.
But the kid reminds me of me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? As a kid, just like the way he creates. And then to be like, that also brings in other kids and the teaching. And it's expanded my mind to be like, so here was a kid's always trying to get out of school. It's like, how can I make learning fun? Or how can I get in schools? And I might not hit all the marks per se.
Sure.
But it's like, I'm there to make a difference. You know what I mean? And one of the parents told me that at a function the other day. Like, I feel like somebody on one of these boards kind of blew me off because probably I wasn't in a suit and they didn't know who I was. And they were like the president and they were probably like, didn't acknowledge me.
Yeah.
So I was kind of shitty, but I was like, I'm not going to butt in because of respect for the person that's working with them, actually works under them or works with them. But then before I left, one of the parents came up and was saying, hey, I think you know my son, you know my daughter. And I knew her daughter. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember her. Yeah. So she's like, I'm glad to see you here. You know, like the kids need to see more people like you, or they need to see Black men in school. And then having a conversation with Arts for Learning the other day, I guess like how you make an impact is Black male teachers like 1.1 or 1.3% in the state. And, you know, most of that is probably concentrated to Marion County.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yep. So it's like, damn, when I show up, it's like I'm showing up. Yeah. And then I show up as me. So like I remember one particular school was like, how do these kids love you? How you move like this? Well, for one, I treat them all like they're my nieces and nephews. You know what I'm saying? That's how I try to move in life. Yeah. Like kids, like get my ultimate respect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You might get a bad kid every now and then. I say something to them, but kids get my ultimate respect because they're just kids. They're free in the world. And sometimes they're only inspired or influenced by what they know or what they see. So, that joy when they're happy, or like I said, when a parent compliments me on like, thank you for being here, it's like, man, that means more than anything. So actually, you know, like I said, not that we don't all want our money. For sure. But sometimes those make me feel like, dude, I got a couple million in the bank. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because just those small, kind words. So if I can feel like that as an adult, imagine what that stuff does for a kid. Yeah. Or somebody who's going through hell in life. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. Because I think we lose the childlike quality as we get older. It's hard to grasp. I think, too, when we think about educators, my wife's an educator, and we could go on for days about the systemic issues
we'll
there.
Have another one.
But it is like, when it comes down to teaching, are you able to build a relationship with your students? Are you able to make it engaging for them, the material, or whatever it is that you're teaching? And do they want to come back to the classroom? And I think a lot of teachers, again, get chewed up, spit out by the system of education currently as it exists. And it becomes really difficult to see models like yourself or like former guests Tina Algren and Ronak Shaw, who show up in the classroom in ways that most kids might not see, particularly in lower income communities here in Indy. And to be able to have someone like that, a Gary G for young Gary G who didn't have that in class or in growing up, I think is the reason that I want to do the show. It's the reason that I want to be in Indy. It's the reason that I want to, it's just like how I'm moving in the world right now is to find more models like that and put them on the pedestals they deserve so we can keep being affirmed and be our actual individual unique selves.
Yeah, and that's what I think. So, like for me, I think some of the first episodes I shared of yours that I caught on, the one was with Quasar was on it, and then with Andre Carson on it. And it was just like, man, like I said, just being authentic, being real. And it was just something in the camera. or in the interview that's like, man, that's pretty dope. And then when we bumped into each other, he's like, man, I got to get you on the show. And it's like I said, tease me. So it's like relationships or spaces or just timing. Like, so it's like we knew each other was or heard and seen. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, I know this dude.
Exactly.
And, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, man, that's cool because it is a small community. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's small enough that people could know, like, yeah, I'm doing good things, but like, I'm not no millionaire, dude. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still out in the community.
Exactly. You're not removing yourself.
Yeah, I'm not removing myself. There's times I might be recluse, but I'm not removing myself because I feel like our city needs that, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like New York, rappers walk around. I've met a lot of rappers and stuff, and like, dude, they just down-to-earth people. It's like, we should have that here. You know what I'm saying? We used to have ball players like that was here, would hang out and just everything. And now it's like people are recluse and people are removed. And then it's like times have changed, you know. So some stuff is like there's these divides and shifts, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's like there's some stuff that are just like, I don't know if the old soul or just growing up in the eras that I grew up in, it's like, I just feel like the world needs some of that love or energy, or like we said, the village. It's the village mentality. So we can be individuals, but you still got to understand that the individual represents the village. If the village needs you, the village should be able to reach you. You know what I'm saying? Or you should be able to do something instrumental for the village. You know what I mean? No matter how small or large, it's like we all have roles to play in life.
100%.
Yeah.
Gary G, it has been an absolute privilege and pleasure. Last question before I get out of here and we set up 2, 3, 4, and 5. For anybody out there watching right now who, for whatever reason, doesn't know how to find you or get in contact with you or support you, how do they do that? How do they find you, support you? How do you do all this?
So if you want to look at the website, it's Art by Gary G. But for most parts on all social media platforms, and you can connect with me through Original Gary G. And I just kind of fell in the lap one day because my son was using Gary G instead of Gary G Jr. So there's like Original Gary G. And there's an architect. There's a bunch of people that actually have my name that I just thought was unique to me. And then people think it's an alias, and it's like, no, this is my real name.
Well, they probably think the G is just a G.
And they think they just calling me that. Like I dated a girl once. When I got in trouble, she was looking for me. She's like, she's running around the neighborhood like, what's Gary G's real name? And said that they're laughing at her like, his real name is Gary G. She said, I thought they was messing with me for months. You know what I mean? But it's like the original part on, I guess, is original art, just my ideal and lines of thinking. But so, yeah, short answer, it's Original Gary G.
Original Gary G, all platforms, Art by Gary G, the website, the man himself, Gary G.
Appreciate you having me too, Patrick.
100%. Everybody else, Tuesday, new episodes, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, conversationpeacepod.com for the archive, for merch, and for the open door. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Appreciate to be in this space. Shout out to Gary for letting us be in the studio here on North New Jersey. Shout out to John and Popular Rapture on the mics. Shout out to Mike and Mike Lee on the cameras. We didn't do this, give them their flower segment today because we were just in convo, but shout out to Madeline McKinnon and Frida's Flowers. And last but not least, shout out to me for hosting the show. This has been Conversation Piece, and we'll see y'all soon.
Peace.
We're good? You all ready? You good? Ready? Good. All right, ready?